Hi guys, this is Emnel. It's been a while. As you can see, we are going to play some EU4, Cradle of Civilization, upcoming DLC. If you are interested in channel updates and such, I've released a video regarding that a few hours ago, so check that. And here, without further ado, we are going to pick a nation. And since you clicked on the thumbnail, you know that we are going to play Mamluks. I'll discuss why in a sec. Let's go Iron Man. YouTube. Okay. Alright, so this is one of the new things, but before we continue, can I? Of course I cannot move. Alright, so if you are interested in that, I will discuss some history along the way, but if you're interested in this bit, just pause and read. So this is basically a historical background of the country. Here we have info about our religion, which is of course Sunni. And Sunni has, well, all of Islam has been remade. Piety is a bit different, but above all else, there are 7 Muslim schools now. Each country is partial to one of them, and as you can see, we are of a Shafi school that gives us 1 additional merchant. And there are ways I will show you later to get other bonuses. Another thing that well, makes me want to play Mamluks is that they've got their own form of the government, Mamluk government. It's a version of Sultanate with some additional bonuses, as well as their own specific interactions, events and such. Specifically, upon succession, we have a choice between 3 leaders and well, of different cultures. So we will discuss that once it pops, because well, our current leader is 72, so it won't be long. On top of that, well, as you can see, there is something here as well, but I guess that's for different. Probably if you are starting in like North America or something. Now, let's start from the top, I guess. So we are. What is this? Just a quick summary of the DLC, I guess. It's focuses on what we would call more or less a Middle East. So Anatolia, Egypt, Arabian Peninsula, Mesopotamia, Persia, and Caucasus. On top of that, it adds, well, as I mentioned, it revamps Islam a little bit, and so that's like, you know, basic stuff, flavor that you get with the DLC. But on top of that, there are some fairly significant changes to, well, I discussed religion, but also some changes to trade, and quite a lot of changes to combat. And all in all, there is a lot of interaction between one things and the other. So, for example, trade now has some effects on combat and so on. So the same goes for there is bigger importance of economy when it comes to warfare and so on and so forth. But we'll get through that in a second. Now let's get starting as Mamluks. Our main opponent are of course the Ottomans, and this is going to be our goal. We'll try to stop their expansion while expanding ourselves, and then either survive their attack or attack them ourselves if we find them pretty weak, which is going to be quite difficult, because while we got, I guess, buffed a little bit, Ottomans also got a few buffs. Above all else, they do have access to Janissaries, which is, well, to simplify things, it's slave infantry, elite infantry made of slaves, and it's levied from infidels, so mostly from Europe in Ottomans, and I guess parts of Anatolia. If we take a look here, well, I guess those parts of Anatolia. Now, as I mentioned our type of government, so as you can see here, we get pretty decent monthly autonomy change for a kingdom type. It's a rank, kingdom rank in government. We also have additional free promoted cultures, which is nice, I guess. But the really interesting bit is that our monarch gets additional 2 administrative skills, which is pretty nice. Cost of advisors with the rural culture is also decreased by 25%, and the cost of promoted culture is cut in half to 50. The other 3 are basically for being a kingdom rank. Now this whole bit about advisors with rural culture, that would be here, because now rulers, as you can see here, our king is Sunni and culture is Circassian, and as you can see, advisors now have both religion and culture. Keep in mind. First of all, we are going to set national focus to military power, because, well, our ruler will potentially have more administrative, as we discussed, and we don't really care about diplomatic, well, we care a little bit, but about that later. Let's leave that for now. Now, let's go look at our ideas. So, Mamluks are an interesting bunch because they are somewhere between a trade country and military power, wannabe military power when we compare to Ottomans, I guess. We start with cavalry combat ability plus 10%, which is okay, I guess, and with trade steering plus 25%, which is actually quite nice. It will allow us to pull more trade towards Alexandria, and thus will allow us to finance our armies. And as you can see, if we finish all the ideas, we'll get additional 25 trade power. So trade is going to be an important part of our playthrough, which is one of the reasons why I've taken it, because there are some changes. Now, our first bonus is Red Sea trade. Once again, and global trade power and trade range does not the best of bonuses, but, well, they will do. Yearly prestige is okay-ish. +1 yearly doesn't sound like much, but it counteracts some of the decay. For example, in this case, instead of decaying, we would be gaining. Well, actually, we're already gaining, so we would be gaining more, but it basically helps you keep your prestige higher, rather than, actually gain enough to per year. So it's okay. Now, manpower recovery speed plus 15. Plus 15 is a bit low for a bonus, but it's decent. This, on the other hand, discipline plus 5, always good. You can get some production efficiency as well, which is well, it doesn't really. It works pretty well with our trade, I guess. It's additional source of income. So it's a good thing to have. And stability cost modifier, pretty decent one, but actually pretty useless for Mamluks, because as it turns out, at least in this version, Mamluks are not losing stability on Monarch's death, which is an interesting choice, but that's how it is. So we'll be using less stability than most, or possibly than any other nation, really. And an additional trade efficiency. So as you can see, we are heavily trade focused. So to discuss our overall game plan, we need to take a look at how trade is flowing around here. And as you can see, we are sitting comfortably in Alexandria. We are pulling trade from Africa, from Horn of Africa and Gulf of Aden here. and in a way from India to some extent, as well as from well, Silk Road really area right here through Aleppo. So our goal is basically to, in order to gain more income and thus have more, and thus be able to have a bigger army, we would like to expand to the south and to the east, basically, because we don't really care about going for Tunis and fighting with Genoa for this trade node, for example. We would probably like to kick out, Venice a little bit from the area and so on and so forth, and perhaps in the distant future move our whole shop towards Constantinople. But for now, we'll focus on this. So since we are already here, let's fix our trade. As you can see, we have 3 merchants that we are using. All of them are pooling trade, but you almost always want to have one merchant that is collecting and capital, because that actually adds 10% to what you are actually getting, which is almost always better than the bonuses given by just a single by additional merchant that is pulling trade. In this case, we're going to take a merchant from Ethiopia, because this node has only one route out, and whatever we are pulling with our strength will eventually lead to go to Alexandria anyway. So let's fix that, and that should. For now, we are getting like 3.8, but within a year, once we fix everything, we should be around 7 to 9, I think. As you can see, we do have some nice trade-related bonuses. We have 2 inland centers of trade right here in Aleppo, and 1 here. On top of that, we do have 2 Nile estuaries with bonuses. And this is something I haven't noticed before. I'm not sure if it was here, but we have a granary of the Mediterranean, and which leads to those 4 provinces here producing copious amounts of grain. Which, I mean, it's just grain, but it adds up. It's a nice source of income. Speaking of trade goods, there are new trade goods. 5 of them. There's livestock. As you can see, we have copious amounts. Well, actually, there are copious amounts of it everywhere. And there is paper, which is, well, there's quite a lot of it in Western Europe, a little bit around here, and I imagine a lot in China. There are gems. There are, what else? There's glass, right here in Byzantium. And there's a 5th one. What was it? Can't recall. Incense, of course. Yeah, there's incense right here. Well, we'll discuss that in more detail later on. Now, so as I mentioned, let's talk diplomacy. We start with 2 vassals, Hajas and Fadl, I don't know, well, those guys, as well as guarantees on Medina and Cyprus. We're not interested in Cyprus, so we'll revoke that guarantee later. We will be able to actually, let's see, we should be able to vassalize Medina soon enough, so we'll focus on that. Problem is that with vassalizing Medina, that's 3 vassals, which is a bit annoying, and we want some allies against Ottomans. Let's see. I think since those guys rivaled us, we're going to ally with them and with Karaman. and we will try to conquer those two bits here. Well, one or two. We'll see how that goes before Ottomans grab them. Because there is really nice terrain right here. So, for example, we would end up with a mountain border. We could put a fort in here and defend against Ottomans, hopefully. So, this is our immediate expansion plan. But for now, we need to get rid of some of those, get rid of our fleet, basically. So, we want to sell it, basically. Two cogs. Let's say 3 cogs. 2 cogs. Okay, let's for starters try to sell those guys. I played a test game, so I know that they will have enough of, they will pay 30 for 2, so this is a good price. And another good price is for those guys. There we go. I really hope I'm not selling the same one to both of them. With our next one, we'll just go for that alliance right off the bat, and we'll try to sell off all of our fleet that isn't. We'll leave barks, of course, and protect trade in Alexandria, but the rest we don't need. We'll only fight Ottomans in not too distant future when it comes to people that we can use this fleet against, and we'll be better off just waiting them out in the port rather than paying for all that fleet. What else? Let's take a look at our possible rivals. So we'll rival those guys back. They are reasonably weak. We are not rivaled by Venice, so we are not going to rival them. We're going to rival Aragon because they are pretty weak and they will probably end up under the Castile, of course. So we will be able to basically eclipse them and get some free power projection. For that reason, I'm tempted to pick Timurids. So, as you can see, there has been copious changes to the map around here. Well, both in terms of new provinces added and basically new countries spawning. So, I don't want to, do an overview for an hour, but you see the basics, and we'll discuss them when they become relevant. But since Timurids are relevant, as you can see, they have a truckload of cores and a lot of allies. Most of them not really keen on being under Timurid thumb. So, well, in my test game they collapsed outright. Well, in like 20 years they've been overrun by their own vassals. So, what we are going to do is basically make them into rivals, and because, well, we should be able to eclipse some of them, and then we'll basically get the Ottomans, because we are not planning on going to war against Ottomans quite yet anyway, so there's no benefit in that. What next? Let's for now cut the army maintenance. It's probably not going to be that easy, but well. Let's take this army here and half of it there. Now we'll have to wait for our diplomats so we can continue selling. So we could protect the Brethren in Quars Ibrim, which is this province. And this will give us a free casus belli, but we don't want to. It's a waste of time. I'd rather start working on expanding towards Ottomans. So those provinces are worthless anyway. And also, we have more states than we can support, so any new territory will be difficult for us to create a state in it. So there are really very little benefits to actually expanding to just yet to such provinces. So we're going to take that improved relations because, well, we actually plan to anyway. So that's nice. As you can see, we have a lot of forts, and it would be advisable normally to just mothball them or destroy them. I think we are going to destroy a few. This one, I guess, it's unlikely we'll have a lot of problems coming through here with our two allies. And I guess we can get rid of this as well. Although it could be useful if AI lands, but let's just keep an eye on it. And I think I will keep the rest up because they keeping maintained forts will keep our army tradition sort of high, and we will need high army tradition to even have a chance against Ottomans with their bonuses. So there is that, and I think we will be able to afford it anyway. So now, speaking of affording, okay, we get this guy. That's great. Egyptian culture. That's alright. And here we want spy network construction, definitely a good choice. As for this, I think we are going to go expensive and get an estate game. So, estates, another problem. Here we go. We start with like half of our country belonging to amirs, which is dangerously high, and to the point that we of course cannot really get a general, for example, or do anything else really. So because normally you would, for example, call a diet and then demand military support or something like that, but we simply cannot do that because that would well, we cannot do simply that because that puts us at 30, which is way too low. So we'll have to work on taking away some of their land later on, but we'll have to wait a year before that is possible. I think what we are going to do is get ourselves a missionary. So let's seek support of the clergy. And Inquisitor, right? And we are going to use that cheaper Inquisitor. We should be able to afford him, and he is of Assyrian culture. There we go, and that will allow us to barely do some of the what is it called? Converting, right? Sorry. Now, to speed this up, we are going to use Enforced Religious Unity, which I don't really like doing because, first of all, it's expensive, and second of all, I always forget about it later on. On the other hand, let's get where are those edicts? There we go. So here are a few places where we actually want to take an edict, which is protect trade. Halab is a place that has what, 24, I think, 28 trade power. So definitely a good choice to get some trade power. It's going to be fairly expensive at the start, but it should pay off. But it will allow us to pull enough. Pull a little bit more in terms of trade power, trade towards Alexandria, and at the same time will prevent Ottomans from getting enough. The same thing we'll do in those two provinces, I think. Protect trade. I've done the math at, well, more or less on the math, and it was worth it. It's almost always worth it in your capital because they are much cheaper. So there's that. Okay, so this is based. Oh, and another thing for us to fixing the trade is, of course, to get trade power from our subjects. And as you can see, if we get in here, so we're going to get trade power from this guy, which will help us in Aleppo node, and we are going to get trade power from here, which is quite a lot due to a coastal center of trade. And since we are going to vassalize Medina, we'll also get a bunch from there, which should help our income tremendously. Okay, I think that's enough for us to unpause. Let's check, because we need a bloody checklist for starting U4 game. Yeah, I think we're good. We'll hike army maintenance later on, and I think I will, as I mentioned, keep the bloody forts. And this is going to be interesting, what we'll have to do about our army later on. Trade. Alright, since we are on a trade, you've probably seen those little things around here. So you can give different orders to your merchants to do different things. So hostile trading increases spy network construction. This increases our siege ability in the node, and this allows us to improve relations faster. And this is for converting people in the node. So your basic option is to just get plus 5% trade node power, which we'll keep. Let's on pause, put it to plus 3 and wait for our guys to arrive. So, wow, they declined both? Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, it was a fail. Yeah, and we cannot send them to them again. Okay, we accept alliance from Medina, we ignore the Cyprus. Okay, now, as you can see, we are ahead of, well, we have too many relations, so let's just... actually, let's keep this guarantee for a bit longer. Perhaps it will make Venice less likely to actually go to war against Cyprus from the get-go. Let's continue to try selling our ships. I'm sorry. 2 for 1, not a good sale. 3 for 2. 10 galleys for 2 galleys for 2 is alright. Let's see. Alright, we need to wait for another one. And we sold that. Still ships. Great, okay, let's see if we can sell one by one. I don't know, I almost feel like I preferred when you couldn't do that and it was alright to just disband your navy, but now it's waste of money, so you have to do this whole thing. Cyprus, sell ships. Really? Come on. Okay, so we are only interested in not even. Maybe 2 galleys can interest you in. Okay, that will do. Okay, since we attempted the sale here, we cannot offer them an alliance quite yet. How about you? You're allied with Kanda, that's bad. And you're allied with also Kanda. And then I'll kill you. Okay, so we want to conquer those guys. Ideal would be if they were to ally one another, but not the case. And the problem is that our ally here allied with those two morons, and once Ottomans attack them, well, they will conquer them both and also get get into war with our ally, while we won't be able to normally intervene, which is problematic. And if Ottomans simply get this bit, they will be able to basically walk through from their territory here to their territory here without any problems, no matter the force and whatnot. So that's a bit of a problem. Now let's continue selling. Come on. Sell ships. About 2, really? Yeah, so 1. Let's send the rest, say there, because they need to actually be physically close enough. Genoa. No, that's not a good sale. Yeah, maybe I should probably do it in the next episode, because this is some prime entertainment right here. All right, let's start, I guess, building a spy network here. Still just calendar. Perhaps we could. Well, we cannot get a. What we could do is make them co-belligerents, and this way pull them into the war as well, and basically ignore calendar. Oh no, of course we cannot, because they allied our allies. Fuck. Not the best situation. We'll accept. Alright, we've been raided by knights here. That may happen. Okay, let's revoke the guarantee, I guess. Accept royal marriages. Get an alliance here. Which gets us back into 5 out of 4, but it's worth it, in my opinion. And all right, and now let's talk about, before we finish this episode, because it's what, 30 minutes. There will be another 1 or 2 today out today, anyway. So first of all, let's get our leader to become a general, because, well, we kinda want to get rid of him. We are not going to get another general though. So what we are going to do is enable army drilling. Army drilling will make this whole thing go up, which will eventually give us, I believe, well, we'll see in a second once it ticks, but the point is, so it makes our armies, or actually our regiments, better. I think it takes like 10 years or 5 to 10 years to drill your army to the max, and it then decays fairly quickly, actually, for a few years of combat, and you will be out of the drill, for example. And on top of, and to do that, you need to have a general. Click that, and you will be paying full maintenance for this specific army, despite what you set up here. So yeah, as you can see, it went. We are paying full maintenance here. There is a chance that our general will level up and gain 1 pip in one of one shock, one maneuver. I only seen shock so far, so fingers crossed. And that is also a way to boost a new statistic right here, which is called army professionalism. As you can see, army professionalism increases, lowers mercenary costs, increases availability of mercenaries, as well as gives up to 20 siege ability when it's at the max, 10 landfire damage and 10 shock damage, which is quite a lot, but it also increases very slowly. It's more difficult from what I've seen, probably to level up than absolutism, and definitely more difficult than mercantilism, I would say. I mean, technically it's cheaper because, as you can see, the way to increase it is to recruit generals. So you basically could spam generals for 50 military points and get it up, but I know military points are hard to come by, but it's a possibility. But it goes down whenever you recruit a mercenary. On top of that, as you can see, every regiment drilling adds a little bit of professionalism every year. So in our case, it's 0.4 per year per this army, I think. Is it? Let's actually see. Yearly army professionalism, that's it. That's it. So, since this is a new mechanic, we'll try to basically exploit it, or at least explore it, and thus I will try not to hire any mercs, and for a change, after years and years of mercs being amazing, we are going to try to win wars with our own manpower. That's going to be an interesting challenge, without a doubt. Alright. What else? Alright, since we need to finish this, we are supposed to improve relations, so let's send the guy there. Okay, we are already building a spy network, so let's start improving relations here as well, because we want to vassalize them before we go to war, which is important stuff. Alright, I think that's it for the first episode. I hope this is basically the first thing I recorded since June, I think. Or maybe July, whenever the recent expansion to Hearts of Iron 4 came out. So this is, hopefully I wasn't mumbling or doing too much, but well, if I did, I will probably get better once I get back on track. As for the plans, this is not going to be a world conquest. I always get bored around somewhere between 1600 and 1700, so that's definitely even more so when I'm talking all the time, so, and it will take longer, so, but it will be probably 30-40 episodes, I would say, and as I mentioned, 1 or 2 more will be out today, and probably another 3 the day after. I will probably be also streaming some EU4 between today and 16 when it comes out. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Check my other content if you somehow stumbled upon this video. For EU4, I'm mostly doing Hearts of Iron 4. And thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.